Hey everyone, Sassy Mouse here. Today we're going to have a difficult topic to cover. Recent events have led to many people taking to the streets to protest and many people getting injured or hurt because of this. Due to the current climate, I am going to talk today not so much about the politics, but about ways to stay safe if you are going to one of these protests. I am not going to be talking about the politics, although it is a very important topic for people to be discussing. Today I'm only going to be focusing on ways to keep yourself safe and those that you love safe if you choose to go out and protest. The first tip I have is to remember that you're there to protest. You should not be going out purely to riot or loot other businesses. Many of the businesses that are being hurt are small businesses that may be run by locals in your community that are not part of the problem. Remember that your purpose is to send a message, not to hurt people in our community. Most people going out to these protests are of course not going for the purpose of rioting. However, there are enough people doing it that it is causing significant unrest and the message to not be heard as well. This current protest is happening during the COVID-19 pandemic, and although many places are starting to open up, we do not know whether or not the pandemic is under control. If you choose to go out and protest, please still wear a mask. Keep yourself safe and follow as much social distancing as you can in a protest environment. After you leave the protest, wash your hands or use hand sanitizer. And generally just try to follow any safety precautions you've been using for the last few months. If you go to a protest, bring a phone or other recording device. Recording devices keep not only you safe, but keep everyone accountable if they know they're being filmed. That said, there are obviously many videos of people doing things that are atrocious on both sides. Despite this, if it's possible, videotaping anything you see that is going on that is awful can help to raise awareness of how things are going at these protests and ways in which they are not going well. Another important safety tip is to go with a friend or with a group of friends. Being in a group can help keep everyone safe as long as you're all watching out for each other. People who go alone are more likely to become victimized due to not having someone else to watch their back. If you go with a group, make sure that you all have a plan of action and are being careful to keep an eye out on each other. Try to stay together and try to know what all of you are planning to do while at the protest. Another important thing that you should do is have an exit strategy or an escape route. If things go south as they have at many of these protests, it's important for you to know how you're going to get out in case something goes wrong and you are hurt or attacked or need to get out safely. Many people have been injured at these recent protests. Having a plan on how you're going to get out if shit goes south can be really helpful. It may also help to have a couple of different strategies and make sure you share them with your entire group so everyone knows where to go and what to do in the case of an emergency. I said this a little bit earlier, but remember that you're there to protest, so protest peacefully. Peaceful protests get the message across a lot better than a bunch of angry, violent people. Unfortunately, when protests do turn violent, the news is not focusing on the message of the protest, but more on the mistakes and actions of those who were violent. If you are there as a protester, turning violence against others minimizes your message. If you're protesting peacefully and the police or military turn violent against you, you are not being the aggressor and your message can still ring clear even if you didn't have any control over their actions. Because many of these protests have resulted in people being pepper sprayed, you may also want to consider bringing goggles so that you can protect yourself and potentially have at least one person who can safely navigate the group out of that area. It's also really helpful to have a first aid kit available either on your person, in your car, or somewhere where you know where it's at and can get to it. You may want to bring specific supplies such as eye wash. Remember that ultimately you're only responsible for yourself, and the actions of others are not in your control. However, if you keep yourself accountable, you can set an example for those around you and help make these protests go more smoothly and more safely. If things do go south, it may be important for you to protect others, particularly people who may be vulnerable in the crowd or more likely to be a target of aggression. Ultimately, there may be a limit to what you can do for others, but if you are able, helping others, particularly those who are especially vulnerable, may be very important for everyone getting out safely. This country is founded on the right to protest, and people dying at protests is just not acceptable. If you are unable to go to the protests, you can also show support for people who are protesting if you believe what they believe. This can be done through many platforms: social media, standing up for others, and expressing support for their beliefs and what they're protesting for. If you're going out protesting, be aware of curfews as well. Although these curfews are sometimes a little bit ridiculous, being out after the curfew starts can result in charges that are not a part of the protest at all and have no impact on your ability to get your message across. Personally, I'm not a fan of these curfews, but they are happening. If we want to keep as many people out of jail as possible, we must observe them and follow them as well as we can. Before you go out, it may be helpful to look up any local or federal laws regarding protesting. Although freedom of speech is protected, there may be certain local laws that restrict where and how you can protest. Being aware of this beforehand can help prevent needless incarceration. Finally, remember to vote. Things have been happening lately that we thought would never happen. We're currently living in a state that, although not officially martial law, is pretty fucking close. Voting is one of the few ways that we can have our voice heard and have people who have taken advantage of their office get kicked out. If you are going out to protest, as I know many people are, please be careful out there. Things have been happening that are absolutely fucked up. I want everyone who goes out to have their voice heard and to get home safe. I know that I am a white chick and I am not impacted by these issues as much as other people. Some people may watch this and understand that I do not have personal experience with these issues. I know that. Some of this advice may seem naive, and it's not intended to. I know that things are different if you're a person of color going out in these situations and for this purpose. However, if we can all do our best to act with these in mind, you may not completely escape unscathed, but hopefully you will be safer and have reduced harm from going out and protesting. This country is founded on the idea of freedom of speech and the ability to protest, and right now that ability is being corrupted. Though I am not part of the impacted community, I do know that it's fucked up out there, and that we all need to do our best to get home safe, to take care of ourselves, and to reduce our chance of getting arrested for doing something that is guaranteed by law. However, as I've said before, protesting is guaranteed by law, but being violent isn't. And I'm certainly not blaming those who are protesting peacefully. If you are being peaceful, you're doing it right, and I understand people who are very angry in this situation. Although people are angry, it is still helpful to channel that anger into something constructive, having your voice heard, and remaining peaceful, because if you give them an opportunity, many cops will take it. We know people get hurt. Systemic violence is a real problem. Please be careful out there.